Hey dears, I have my little Dragonair pal here because we have officially entered the year of the Wood Dragon, and I could think of no better way to kick that off than to talk about fantasy books with dragons that I've read recently, and if you stick around to the end, I have some more fantasy books with dragons for you as well. Okay, starting with a book that I read recently, and that is Song of Silver Flame Like Night by Amélie Zhao. And this book was heavily inspired by the historical period of the Opium Wars, when the British Empire had Hong Kong under control, and it also has a lot of Chinese mythology and folklore influence in there as well. The story itself centers around Lynn, whose mother was killed in front of her by colonizers, and as her mother is dying, her last act is to etch this mysterious symbol onto her daughter. And now Lan has to try to figure out what that symbol means and what her mother's true dying wish is. The world building in this one is so vivid and immersive, and I really like the magic system. There's like two different corresponding magic systems that adhere to the different kingdoms. So you have the Hin, who are being colonized. They use Shi and a more nature-based elemental magic system. And then you have the imperial colonizers who use a more science-based metal magic system that kind of reminded me of Mistborn almost. And it was so cool to read those descriptions. And the one nitpicky complaint that I have is that the imperial metal magic users, they are called magicians, which seemed like a odd word choice. Like maybe if they were illusionists or something, they would be called magicians. But I wish there is something cooler and more specific tied to using metal. Like the more specific name for the special magicians who can use and have an affinity for multiple types of metals, those are called alloys. And that's freaking awesome. I wish the other magic users had a cool name too. And you might be wondering, where the heck is the dragon? Like, there's a dragon on the cover. I was expecting a dragon. And without giving too much away, I'll say that somehow the plot involves the Chinese mythology of the four auspicious beasts, which involves a dragon. And that's all I'll say, but I really recommend this one if you're looking for an immersive, rich, Chinese-inspired fantasy. Yeah. Okay, next I have another fantasy book that I just finished, and that is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lynn. And this one is actually a retelling of the Brothers Grimm fairy tale, The Six Swans. And this one is set in a Eastern Asian-inspired world where magic is feared because it is corruptive and its users can turn into demons. However, Princess Shiori has a secret. She can use magic, and she suspects that her stepmother can as well. So one day, she's trying to spy on her stepmother. She catches her performing a magical ritual, and her stepmother is furious. So she turns her brothers into crimson cranes, and if Shiori ever utters a word, for every word she says, one of her brothers will die. So she's banished, and she has to find a way to break her curse with the help of a shape-shifting dragon. And this one was just utterly magical and spellbinding and completely swept me away, and I found myself crying a little towards the end. So I really look forward to the sequel, and I really recommend this one if you're looking for a whimsical, emotional fairy tale. Okay, next for some older reads that I recommend that you read as well if you're looking for books with dragons. And I'm going to start off with The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie. The story takes place in a world that's ravaged by storms and floods, and it's believed to be caused by the wrath of a dragon sea god. And every year, Mina's homeland sacrifices a human bride to try and appease the god. And one year when Mina's beautiful sister is chosen as the human sacrifice, Mina volunteers to take her place. However, once she goes down into the underwater realm, she discovers that the sea god is actually left in an enchanted sleep. So in order to restore balance to both realms, she has to try and find a way to wake him up again. And this one is charming and whimsical and filled with all sorts of mythological creatures. So if you're looking for like a cozy fantasy that'll make you feel good, I really recommend this one. Okay, for my next recommendation, I have Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Lynn Tan. And this one, as the name suggests, is a retelling of the myth of the moon goddess, as well as the myth of the 4 dragons. However, this one focuses on the moon goddess's daughter, Xingying, and Xingying wants to free her mother, so she goes down to the celestial kingdom and she tries to work her way up the court to try to earn the emperor's favor because he can grant wishes and pardon her mother. However, she finds herself falling in love with the emperor's son, so you can imagine all the melodrama and torn loyalties, and this one feels like a sea drama and it's so great. Last but not least, I actually have a fantasy manga and anime that I strongly recommend, and that is Yona of the Dawn. The story centers around Princess Yona, whose cousin throws a coup and murders her father, leaving her fleeing for her life. She enters into exile and she seeks out the dragon warriors of prophecy to help her reclaim her kingdom, and the character writing and character development in this one is so fantastic. It is a beautiful manga and it's still ongoing, and I really recommend you start it. Okay, that's a wrap for this video, but if you have any more recommendations for more books with dragons in it, let me know down below, because I am 100% on the train for a dragon renaissance in fantasy, and I feel and I hope that it's going to become a trend with Fourth Wing and House of the Dragon, which is coming out this spring. So all aboard the dragon train.